So this morning I just wanted to take a moment to walk everyone through the budget planner that the Government of Canada has released on their website. This is a really good tool for putting together your own personal budget or household budget. And it's really simple, just takes you through a few steps and prompts, and even makes some helpful tips and suggestions based on the information that you have entered. So we're going to navigate to the website here, and you see budget planner. You've got some simple instructions to tell you you're going to enter your data, you're going to save, and then you're going to review. And at the end of this, you have the option to send a link to your email so that at any time you can just go to your email, navigate to your budget, enter into it, and make changes as needed, or just simply review your budget if you're sitting down and going over paying your bills. So here we're just going to start by clicking on the Start My Budget button. So once you come in, you've got some really simple prompts that are going to ask you a little bit about, how we're going to set up your budget so that it reflects your situation the best. So we're going to drop down here at your life situation. This is going to ask you a little bit about your household. Are you single, couple, single with kid, couple with kids? So right now I'm just going to do a bit of a fictitious example. We're going to put in some arbitrary information just to generate a little bit of a budget. So we're going to say that we're a single person. I'm going to put our age between 25 and 34. So for work status here, I'm going to put that I'm full-time, but perhaps you have a different situation. You could pick from part-time or seasonal, self-employed, perhaps you're a student or retired, or you're unemployed at this time. So you pick whichever applies to you. For this one, I'm going to pick a full-time individual. So your home, do you rent, do you own, or do you have another situation? You can choose those here. So let's just say that we're renting. So what is your primary goal? Now this is going to ask you a little bit about why you are creating this budget today. So we can either stay on track with our finances, perhaps you want to start saving some money, you want to get your expenses down, so you want to assess your total expenses and look at ways that you can bring them down. Maybe you have some debt you want to pay off, or you just want to create a budget. You just want to look at everything and see what it is. So let's say here that we're going to cut my expenses. So then we're just going to navigate over to the Start here at the bottom right-hand corner. So now you see we've got ourselves into the next section where we're going to actually start building our budget and putting in our information. So let's go over here to Income, select. Now, what's your net income? Now, perhaps if you're working, you're paid every 2 weeks. You may be paid weekly, you may be paid monthly. You can put in whichever situation applies to you. So let's leave it at, we're going to leave this at every 2 weeks, and we'll say that we make $1,000 every 2 weeks. Now you're going to want to put in your net income as it instructs here. So when you're looking at your pay stub, make sure that it's the amount that's after all of your deductions. So if you have any education savings and loans, you can put that in here as well. We'll say that we don't on this one here. Now, if we do have some savings, we can expand there, and we can close that so we don't have too many things open. So you're just clicking on the little arrows to open and close the sections. So in here under savings, you may have some education savings, home purchase, retirement, what have you. Maybe you're saving for a new car, or maybe you're self-employed and you're saving for your income tax at the end of the year. So let's say that here we are, maybe what we're saving for isn't on here. So you could add an item of your own, and maybe you just put savings account. Maybe you don't have a particular goal in mind, but you put a little money away when you can. So let's say that every 2 weeks we put $25 in our savings account. Okay. Now it'll say here a little bit of a prompt. So if you are working on savings, it'll say this is a little below the average, what they suggest. However, we're going to leave this because in our scenario, that's what we're saving. But this little tip here can encourage you, if you do have the funds at the end of your budget, to maybe rethink the amount that you're saving and add some additional funds to that if possible. Remember, saving money for our future is obviously something that we want to do if we're able to. So when we open up expenses, you're going to see a lot of options here, and some of them will have drop downs of their own. So for debt repayment, we have credit cards, personal loans. A lot of us may have student loans for attending school. So on our debt repayment here, let's just choose a credit card, for example. Many people use a credit card. So we'll say on our credit card, we pay $100 a month, right? Says our debt repayment is good. So I do enjoy these little prompts that it gives us throughout. So let's go to housing here, and let's just remember these are fictitious numbers that I am arbitrarily choosing. So this may not relate to current market rents, or what your budget would look like. But for housing, we've got our rent, insurance. Perhaps we need to buy furniture or appliances, and we have an annual spend. What's our electricity, water, sewage, heating, these sorts of things. So let's say that our single person, let's say that they rent for $900 a month. Perhaps they have a tenant insurance of $20 a month. We'll say that they are all inclusive, so perhaps they don't pay for their electricity and heating, and that's included in their rent. Now, if it wasn't, you would enter those amounts here. Furniture and appliances annually, let's say that this person spends $300. Perhaps they don't have a great deal of things that they need to buy for their home. Okay, so now we're going to close out housing, and you'll see that each time we close out, it does capture our total amounts here. So if you want the breakdown, again, you open up, but you can close it down to save yourself some space and make it a little less overwhelming. So for communications, most of us have a telephone, most of us may have internet. So let's say here that we pay for $40 a month, and perhaps our internet is another $40 a month. Okay, so if you look at the bottom here, it's tabulating our incoming and outgoing as we go. So you can see that our outgoing is starting to climb up a little bit. And if you climb over here, so this is going to tell us what our breakdown is of each section. And over here on the gray area, if you hold your cursor over it, it's going to tell you how much leftover income we still have. So this is a good gauge as you're going along to just take a peek and see, how much income are you bringing in and where are you at right now with your outgoing expenses. So food, okay, this is a big one. Obviously, we all need to buy groceries, and perhaps you buy your groceries every 2 weeks because that's when you get paid. So let's say that, for the average individual that is single, let's say that they're spending about $200 every 2 weeks. I think that's a pretty sufficient amount. Now, if you're someone like me and you don't eat out very much, then my spend is bi-weekly, $50. So perhaps you have additional insurance and transportation costs. You might have some auto insurance you can add here. I believe that might be in the transportation section as well. Yes, it is. So in this section, they have, life, medical, dental, disability. If you do have life insurance, many of us would pay that monthly. So for a single individual, let's just say we pay about $50. Okay, so we got car loans, car leases, gas, all of these other expenses for transportation. Now, in this example, I'm going to say that I don't own a vehicle, so I rely on public transportation. And now I do apologize, I'm not familiar with the current rates locally for a monthly pass, but let's just say that that monthly pass is $50. Okay, so perhaps I spend that $50 on public transportation. Maybe I do a lot of walking. So let's say, okay, so that's our transportation costs. Now, again, education, maybe you're a student, you have some tuition and supply costs, you can enter those here. Recreation, maybe memberships to a gym, travel and vacation, tickets for events, all sorts of things that you may have here. Now, let's just say that for this person, we do have a gym membership and it's $20 a month. So as you can see, if you look down here, our budget is starting to creep up a little bit, right? So now what about personal care? What's in here? We have hairdressers, cosmetics, spa, beauty. So, many of us don't get our hair cut and done every month. So let's just say that quarterly we spend $30. Okay, clothing as well. And this is something that, again, not all of us are buying all the time, but clothing and accessories are here. Perhaps you are someone who buys them more often. I'm going to say that every 6 months, approximately, I spend, not that much, $150, okay? I like that you can break this down quarterly, you can break this down semi-annually, annually, and put in those little expenses that often we leave off of our budgets when we're thinking on monthly or per pay, right? So it's a good addition to have these options. Now, if you do have some medical, perhaps you don't have dental benefits and medical benefits. Maybe monthly you may have, a prescription that costs you $20. And maybe annually you spend at the dentist getting your cleaning and everything done. You might spend $150 there. Okay? If you have a pet, you can put your vet and pet food supplies or any additional pet supplies, toys, things like that, treats. And then fees is additional fees. So a lot of us obviously pay for a fee monthly on our bank. I believe mine is somewhere in the realm of $15.95. So we'll put that in there as well. If you do have that credit card that we entered earlier, maybe you have a fee annually. Some of them even range about $100. So that's what we'll put in there for now. You've also got professional dues or any other fees that you incur. Okay. So let's go down for gifts and donations. If you're someone who, say, donates regularly to a local nonprofit or perhaps the Cancer Society or Alzheimer's, then you can enter those here. And of course, you can add any additional. All right. So this is our budget based on the information we have entered here. And again, you can go up and see. So look, this one's telling us stop. We have a suggestion. The amount is above the average range. Okay, so perhaps we're spending a little much in this, and if we want to bring our expenses down, we could look for cheaper housing. And we all know that's not the easiest thing these days, but that is a suggestion. All of our green ones are saying, look, you're in line with where you should be. And then, of course, in food, we're saying it's slightly above the average, 20% or less of income. So maybe this is somewhere where we can budget our grocery trips a little better. And of course, if you want some ideas and some help with how to bring down those food costs, you can reach out, and I would love to walk you through some options for taking a closer look at these individual expenses and how to bring them down. Okay, so we're going to go down through our budget, and you can look down here and you can display your totals every 2 weeks. If you want to go, okay, per paycheck, where am I at? How much money should I have left at the end of that paycheck? I'm at approximately $116, depending on when your bills come out. So obviously this budget takes everything into account every 2 weeks, every month, but not necessarily telling you, what day do those bills come out. So if we go monthly here, then you can see that monthly breakdown. And this person is quite fortunate. Look, they have a little bit of extra money here now. This is where they can assess that, all right, we wanted to bring down our expenses, and we can still do that. But we do have some extra money, and maybe we can increase that. And then what can we do with it? Debt repayment if need be, or we can also look at increasing that savings. Okay, so this icon says, oops, you don't have any saved data. All right, so we're going to want to save this up here. And this is where you can email a copy to yourself. So these results, as well as a copy of your budget that is interactive and you can access, will then be emailed to you. So you can type in your email here and send this off to yourself. You can also just copy and paste this link if you want to save it, perhaps in a OneNote or in another location. So this is our summary that it generates for us. So again, we're slightly below the average on our savings. So this is where you can take a look at this budget and say, I have $252. Maybe I want to run back over to my budget, and I'm going to add that to savings. And that's going to be where I start to put a little more away for those emergencies or for my future. Okay, so we can take a look down, and it gives us some very nice visual representations of our income. And, these are nice because, not all of us are good with lists and reading all of these information. So having it in a nice visual to let us know, where is your money going? And then again, hover over, right? And it's going to give us that breakdown. This is food and housing. Housing's obviously going to take up the majority for most people. There's our debt repayment, communications. So that was our internet and phone. So really, really great application. Really like using this application. Again, jump over to next steps. We've got some really great suggestions that are based on those individual tips and tricks, letting us know, where can we save our money? What can we do? And as you go through and continue to use this budget, you're going to earn badges. And these badges are just some little fun additions that will say, you're doing really good here on your savings, your balance of your budget is really great, which, you'll hear balanced budget is a very important thing, especially when we're talking about the budget for our country. So there's lots of really great little added tips and tricks and fun parts of this module, and you can expand on your suggestions and go through them. So as you can see, there's lots of links and lots of information that can help you further. And if you're not quite comfortable with going through all the suggestions and making those decisions, you can reach out to the peer support at CMHA, and we would love to help you drill down in these a little bit deeper, though I'm not going to today in this video, to keep it short and to not overwhelm everyone. So I hope that you found this really helpful, and I hope that you'll be able to utilize this tool to help you get a better handle on your budget and take control of your personal finances. Thanks for watching.